Hey guys, this is Mr. Pizarro. So this video is just to review some linear ideas from last year, and it's so important to what we're going into. So try to really understand this quick review that we're going to do. So our goal is to be able to convert linear equations into all the different main forms. And our first main form here is the slope-intercept, and that's just the y equals mx plus b, where we know that the slope is m and that the y-intercept is b. The standard form here, that one's important. That is, you're not going to see the slope in this form. For example, this a coefficient here, that's not necessarily slope. The b coefficient here, that's not necessarily the slope. And then c, that's not necessarily the y-intercept. So the only time where you can really be sure that you know exactly what number the slope is and exactly what number the y-intercept is in when it's either in slope-intercept form or point-slope form also enables you to know right where the slope is. Okay, so there's different uses for these different forms. Taking a look over here at point-slope form, we know that the slope is right here at m, but then y1 and x1, that's just a point from the line. So it's a great way to get an equation if you just know the slope and 1 point from the line. All right, let's do a few example problems, and what we're going to do is we're going to take an equation in one form and we're going to convert it into another based off of given information. All right, so here's our first example. It says, write a linear equation in standard form with the given information. Okay, so we know that the slope here, m, is 2/3. We know that the y-intercept here is -2. And then if you remember from the last slide, and this is something I might expect to see in your journal as you're taking notes, that standard form is ax plus by equals c. Now, in your journal, if you haven't done so already, you might want to rewind. You do need all the different forms. So you need to know what standard form looks like, what point-slope form looks like, and what slope-intercept form looks like. Okay, so how to go about doing this problem? Well, the easiest way to go directly from this information into an equation is to go directly into slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. Because they gave us m and they gave us b. So we can plug in these values. Y equals 2/3 x minus 2, right? So this is our equation in slope-intercept form. It's called slope-intercept because it gives us both the slope and the y-intercept. But we still got to transition that into standard form. And it's not that difficult to do. What you want to do for this is you want to make sure you get both your x term and your y term on the left-hand side of the equal sign and have your c term, which is just the constant, the number that doesn't have a variable beside it, that on the right-hand side. So one of the first things I would do in this situation is I would get rid of this fraction right here. And to do that, to get rid of a fraction, you need to multiply the equation by the denominator on both sides. So I'm going to multiply the left-hand side by 3. I'm going to multiply the right-hand side by 3. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I go 3 times 2/3, I'm going to get 2. Because 3 times 2/3 is the same thing as 6/3, which equates to 2. Essentially, the 3's cancel each other out. That's what happens algebraically. So I end up with just 2x minus 6. Don't forget you also have to distribute that 3 to the -2. And then on the left-hand side, I just have 3y. So from this point, it's not difficult to see what we have left to do. All we need to do is make sure that we get this x term over on the left-hand side here. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. And so our final equation is just going to be -2x plus 3y equals -6. Now you might say, well, Mr. Pizarro, I wrote it as this. Maybe you wrote it like this. You wrote 3y, I'll write up here because I ran out of room down here. So what if you wrote it in this fashion? 3y minus 2x equals -6. Well, you'd be right. That is the same thing, but it doesn't fit our format of standard form. And because it's giving us standard form, we want to be somewhat picky and say, hey, let's list the x term first, y term second, and then let's have that constant there. And so this equation, because we didn't break any of our steps in algebra, because we followed our algebra rules, these two equations right here are equivalent. They mean exactly the same thing, and we have successfully gone from a linear equation from this given information And we've successfully gone to standard form. But I want you to take note of what we did. We went from this information to an easy form, slope-intercept, that matched the information, and then we converted. All right, let's try it. 2 more. All right, so in this example, we are going to write a linear equation in standard form again, but from the given information, which is different in this case. So in this case, instead of just giving us the y-intercept, they give us 1 point right here, and P stands for point. 1 point that's on the line 2, 3. So I'm going to use my point slope form, which if you remember is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so all we need to do now is insert the slope and that point. So this is obviously my x1 value, this is my y1 value. So y minus 3 equals negative 4/5 times x minus 2. But remember, it's asking us to go into standard form. So eventually, we're going to need to go into ax plus by equals c. But first, we might want to kind of clear up this equation. And again, the only reason I went into point slope form is because this information that was given made it really easy for me to go into that form. So this is kind of a 2-step process. The first thing you do is you choose the form that you think is easiest to plug the given information into, and then you go about converting if that's not the one you want. So I'm going to start by distributing this slope here on the right. So that gets me negative 4/5 x, and then a negative 2. Don't forget, guys, that this is a negative 2 times a negative 4/5, making this a positive number. And in case you forgot, I know some of us have forgotten some of our stuff here. Negative 2 times negative 4/5, we would set up like this, and we would get 8/5. So my value over here is 8/5. All right, and we're getting close now. We're getting close to having this in standard form. But once again, I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these denominators. So I'm going to multiply everything in here by 5. I figure why not, right? So let's multiply everything by 5. I've got 5. Whoops, wrong button here. Hold on. There we go. I'll have 5y minus 15 equals negative 4x plus 8. Because I multiplied everything by 5, right? And it canceled out. That multiplication by 5 canceled out our denominators. And so now it's just a matter of me switching stuff around. So now I have 5y plus 4x equals 8 plus 15. And I'm using an old algebra trick that I like, is if I want to move this term right here to the left-hand side, I know its sign's just going to change because I'm going to add it to both sides. Same thing with this. If I want to move this negative 15 to the right, I know I have to change the sign of it because I'm adding 15 to both sides. So now it's 5y plus 4x equals 23, I believe. And then we want to stop and reflect. Does this really equal this right here? Are they truly equivalent? And I believe they are. And we could just go back and check our work. So anyways, let's do one more example. And our last example here, it asks us to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form from this given information. So remember, slope-intercept form takes the look of y equals mx plus b, and it happens to be my favorite form because it's the most useful for graphing. But we just get 2 points. So you guys know from these 2 points we need to find m, and we need to find the y-intercept. So we need to figure out what b is going to be. So to find m, of course, we subtract the y, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And just in case you don't know, all that means is we're finding the change in y over the change in x. So the vertical difference right here, and then the horizontal difference right here. And so it doesn't matter which point you label 2 and 1. It'll work out the same. But for the sake of consistency, let's label these the 1s and these the 2s. So my y2 value is 7, and my y1 is 3. And as long as you're consistent, it doesn't matter which is 1 and which is 2. So 4 minus negative 5. And so I'm going to get 4 over 9, because 4 minus negative 5 is 4 plus 5. So my slope must be 4/9. But to figure out what the y-intercept is going to be, I'm going to use a nice form. I'm going to use point slope form. And that's that y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I'm going to now plug in those values and plug in the slope I just calculated. There we go. So this converts now to, and I hope I don't run out of room here, y minus 3 equals 4/9 x. And this became a positive sign up here because of these double negatives. So it's going to be 4/9 times a positive 5, right? So that's going to be 20/9. Whoops, that looks really sloppy. Let me fix that. 20/9. And we still have to take care of this negative 3, so we're going to add it. So y equals 4/9 x plus 20/9 plus 3, which is going to equal, what is that, 27 over, let's see. I'd have to multiply by 9, so it's going to be 27 over 9. So this part right here, if I'm doing this right in my head, should be 47/9. Whoops. 47/9, I think. But I'm going to let you guys double check me because I make mistakes. So that would mean our y-intercept, I'm just double checking this, multiply by 9 in numerator. Yeah, okay. So that would mean our y-intercept should be 47 over 9, or more than 4, or more than 5. 5 and 2/9. So this is our final equation, would be y equals 4/9 x, and then you could leave this in as an improper fraction, that's fine, or you could convert it to 5 and 2/9. But that would be our final answer, because we've now gone from these 2 points here all the way into slope-intercept form. Anyways, I hope this video has been helpful. I went pretty fast, trying to keep the video under 12 minutes to see if I did it. I won't know until the end here. And I wish you guys well, and please do those problems on the website. Good luck to you.